Westside. Yes, and we are back. If you are locking in, we are talking hip hop and religion with Usman from London360. And right about now, I just want to, before we play the feature, I want to kind of just ask you, what made you want to pick the topic hip hop and religion?
Well, thank you very much. Well, I think that when it comes to hip hop and our popular perception of hip hop, we tend to focus a lot on excessive materialism, sexism, and all of those different things. But I was always there's basically another kind of hip hop which we don't always explore, which is in fact that there's a deep spiritualism within hip hop.
Yeah.
And there's a very strong religious culture within hip hop, but this is often contrasted with some of the stuff that people talk about. And so I'm like, well, this is a fascinating topic. Why don't we just talk about it?
Yeah, definitely. And from your findings, like what interested you the most? Like what really stood out to you? Was there anything that surprised you?
I'm not sure about surprised, but I was very interested because my perception is whenever, for example, we hear hip-hop artists talking, they say, I'd like to thank God and so on.
Yeah.
But what I found really interesting was how liberal the interpretation of God is. I mean, it was not the standard, I go to church on Sunday, that's the God I believe in. There was actual people having internal dialogues with themselves about what does God mean to me? I'm coming up with my own version of God. That was fascinating, really fascinating.
Definitely. Okay, cool. And like where did you go? Where did you go for your sources? Because I mean, obviously I've heard the feature and it's a great feature,
sure.
But for those who don't know, where did you head?
Well, the place you always start is Google, of course.
Yeah.
Google's like the ultimate source on everything. But, we went out and we interviewed these different hip-hop artists. Most of the time, I could not predict what they were going to say. So it was always a general surprise, what they would say. I know many of their music, but I don't know what they're like in interviews. And it was sitting in the room with these people.
Yeah.
They're so articulate.
Yeah.
They're really, really interesting. And they always have really fascinating things to say. And I honestly think these people, a lot of them, should also be in the mainstream media. They should be giving opinions about mainstream society because they have so much to offer.
Right. Okay, cool. Well, we're gonna touch on that even deeper after the feature. But would you like to introduce your feature?
So my feature is about. Well, I ask one essential question, which is this: how Christian can hip hop be? Mm-hmm. And it's pretty much self-explanatory. I'm looking at Christianity and hip-hop because obviously within hip-hop there's a subversive element which for many would contradict Christian teachings. But then at the same time you have people who are very strong with their Christianity. So I'm exploring this tension.
Cool. Well, there you have it. And here you go.
God always seems to be on the lips of most hip-hop artists. At every award ceremony, in many interviews and in some songs, God and Christian messages are present. While there are other religious influences within hip-hop, Christianity is the main religion associated with it. For some, hip-hop culture is anything but Christian, with some hip-hop acts promoting sex, drugs, violence and bling-bling materialism. But how Christian can hip-hop be?
God show me the way because the devil's trying to break me down.
Because many artists come from a Christian background, their music will often have Christian elements to it. But there's more to it than that for Wretch 3 too.
Hip-hop is mainly for a set of people that have come from nothing. And when you're coming from nothing, you look for hope. God is hope. Rap is an opportunity. Opportunity and hope go together. So in your path of opportunity, you'd also love there to be some hope that your fruition comes true. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
However, some within the hip-hop scene would challenge the connection between hip-hop and Christianity.
Yeah, I mean, most rappers seem atheist to me.
For journalist Lee Pinkerton, hip-hop could be described as its own religion.
Hip-hop is a religion in the same way that football is a religion for some people, in that it dominates their life, their personal lives outside of work, So, yeah, hip-hop, there's a style of dress, there's a style of speech, It influences politics. So, you know, through hip hop, I became introduced to Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam and all that. It's a religion in as much as it can dominate every aspect of your life if you immerse yourself in it. But it isn't a religion in that there's no figurehead, there's no God which to worship.
Some would go further than this.
Hip hop is God. God is hip hop.
Cookie Pryce from Cookie Crew told us she lives and breathes hip hop, and it's worthy of a religion.
Hip hop is more than just hearing a nice record on the radio. It's a lifestyle, it's a culture. It is partly a religion. I've never given up on hip hop. I refer to certain things in life. If something's not right, I'll say to someone, that's not a very hip hop thing to do. It's just a thing that's just become instilled in us. Some people see it as, say, a joke. Maybe they think we're being a bit silly or I'm being a bit silly, but I take it quite seriously. But I will put them neck and neck. Hip hop should be a religion. It should be on the curriculum.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life.
There are numerous examples within hip hop which challenge Christian beliefs, such as Kanye West or Jay-Z supposedly calling himself Hova or God. Yet for many, hip hop is a vital vehicle in which you can spread any message. Watchman is a hip hop artist, preacher, and youth worker.
Put your life in God's hands.
I believe you always need the traditional stuff, but that's what it is, traditional. And I think it's time to be original.
There is not enough words in my vocabulary to thank him. So I just say, whoa. I love you like whoa. Everybody should have know. Every tongue confess, every knee shall bow. I love you like whoa. Now go let go.
And I think it's about reaching the masses. If I'm speaking to somebody in a language that they don't understand, no matter how much I'm speaking, they're not going to relate. So it's important to adapt to the times and meet those people where they are at. It doesn't mean that you become like them, but you just become relevant and practical. I was always out on the streets telling people about the message, the good news, something that meant something to me. But what I found out that music is so universal, and it had the best way for me to communicate my message was through the genre of music. And I used the style what I was familiar with, you know, because the gospel is the word and not the music. So I was able to use that to reach other people.
I love you like whoa. Now go let go. I love you like whoa.
Even though many don't see hip-hop as specifically Christian, most would agree that hip-hop is a space that channels both Christian and non-Christian messages. More importantly, hip-hop can be considered a meeting place for ideas.
The Voice.
Underdog at the Underground, Crash Williams, Usman, London360. That was your feature.
Yes,
and it was a very, very, very good one at that, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was very balanced, and obviously there's a bunch of things that I kind of want to ask you now.
Please do.
You know, do you feel like there is a place for religious hip hop in a secular environment? And by that I mean, do you feel like artists that, you know, do claim that they are, you know, from Christianity, Christian, claim that they are Christian, and then kind of being in an environment where, say, there's things that may contradict that, do you feel like that should?
Well, you see, I think within hip-hop itself, anybody can have a place. I mean, that's actually, when you asked me earlier, what have I actually learnt about hip-hop, I think that's what I learned. I learned that anyone can exist in hip-hop if they want to. And hip-hop, actually, it's no different from the rest of the world and rest of life. I mean, you could ask yourself, if you're a Christian living anywhere, doing any kind of job, if you're a banker and you want to be a Christian, you know, you could ask, you know, a serious question: can I be a Christian and a banker, given everything that's happened? In fact, hip-hop is just a representation of life that happens everywhere. It's just more public in some respects. I'd
like to use an example of an artist who's had a phenomenal year in the States.
Okay.
It's called Lecrae.
Yes.
And Lecrae, he got a number one US stateside, and that was like the first time like a hip hop artist from a Christian background became, you know, number one. And, you know, he doesn't use the N-word, he doesn't hail profanities in his lyrics. It's all clean, but obviously he's still touching on specific issues, and he's at the top of his game. He always likes to say that he's not a Christian rapper, he's a rapper that is Christian. So I mean, is there a difference? Like that's the thing, you know?
I do think there is a difference. I think from his perspective, he's not going into rap to preach the gospel, but he's saying, but the gospel is part of my life, and since hip-hop is a representation of my life, of what I'm about, then yes, inevitably it's going to play some kind of role. But I'm not here to convert people. You know, as Kanye West said in the song, I'm not here to convert people.
Well, no, actually, in Jesus Walks, he says, we're here to convert atheists into believers. But I mean, obviously, the rest of his catalogue after Jesus Walks is...
I believe he contradicts himself.
Is questionable, like, I mean, totally, you can totally, like, contradict yourself, but when is it... Like, this is the same question I asked yesterday to Jessica.
Sure.
When is it that, you know, something like religion, where you have to abide by certain laws and boundaries, that affects the art? Like, when is art taken too far where you can say, right, this is contradicting my religion? For example, I have a friend, right? She's a devout Christian, and you know, whatever that means for her, she has strict rules and she's very religious, right? She's an actress. She took on a role, she's an aspiring actress, so she took on a role in which she was a prostitute, right?
Oh, okay.
And a crackhead prostitute at that, right? Now, obviously, in real life, she's not that. That is not a representation of her in any shape or form. However, the reason why she's done it is because she wants to progress, right? She wants to progress and she wants to be within that field. Now, is that damaging because she's decided to do something that is against her real morals?
When you say damaging, do you mean damaging to her socially, or do you mean damaging because it affects her relationship with God?
Damaging, that's a good one. But I would say, is it damaging because it affects her relationship with God?
Well, yes and no. I mean, it can be damaging if, for example, you regard prostitution specifically as a very anti-religious thing. But keep in mind, people aren't just one thing. You know, we have many different identities and so on. But I think within the Christian message particularly is the strong emphasis on, well, you're all sinners, you're born sinners.
Right.
Everyone is guilty of something, but everyone can be forgiven. You know, it's all about resurrection. I died for your sins. And so we can't say that just because she's playing a prostitute in this case, not to say that there are, you know, first of all, a prostitute can be a moral person. A lot of the time people become prostitutes because of the circumstances in which they live and they can do very little about. But within the Christian message, there's a very strong emphasis on everyone can be forgiven and all of you have sinned, you know. Let ye without sin cast the first stone.
Yeah. Totally. Okay. All right. Shai, do you have any questions on this topic that are just kind of flowing in your head right now?
No.
I perplexed you to silence.
Yeah, I'm just amazed by everything that's been said. I'm just taking it in.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've got another question. What? I mean, obviously, you know, you're from an Islamic background, right?
Sure.
In terms of, if say you were to become a rapper,
sure.
Like, if you were to become a rapper,
I think there are rules against me doing anything like that.
Like, there's a few, because obviously, you know, I know your focus was on Christianity.
Yeah, come.
But there are a lot of rappers that were Christian and converted to Islam. For example, Ice Cube, one of my favorite rappers, like, in the world, one of the most gangster rappers in the world. He converted to Islam, and he still releases records. They're maybe not as popular now, but you know.
That's how you know he's being very devout.
Yeah, exactly.